Okay, in a previous video we showed you how to set a password for a user in Ubuntu when we showed you how to do it when we created the user. And just to remember, it's get into the right window, sudo passwd, and let me change the password for a Smith, and then I can put in their new password. And that would switch their password. Password has already been used, but it's updated successfully. Okay, so that allows me to change the password. But if you remember, if I do a change aging information and show me the status for a Smith, whoops, it's not the ch age, it's password. There we go, password -s. So that shows me that my password aging information, 0 days until they have to, until they can change it, almost 10,000 before they have to. So as you can see here, change age is a way that I could manage this password aging information. In fact, I can actually do this a couple of different ways. So I'm going to do passwd --help. And that's going to show me some options here where I can set n as a minimum number of days. S will show me the status, warning days, max days. So I can do sudo passwd, and I want to set, okay, let's set a maximum of 60 days, a minimum, so that'd be n, of 10 days, 10 days before they can change it. They have to after 6. And let me set a warning of 3 days, and I'm going to do this for a Smith. And it says password expiry information has been updated. So now I'll do sudo password -s for a Smith, and we'll see that Alex Smith's information has changed. Now I want to do this for P. Peters as well. So I'm going to use a different tool to do that, though. So I'm going to do P. Peters, and you'll see his password information still hasn't changed. 9,000 or 99,999. So I can use the ch age. Let me clear the screen here. Ch age --help. And you'll see our options here. Set the expiry date, so whether it's inactive, list them, set minimum days, set maximum days, set my number of warning days. So you can see I can do a lot of the same things here. But also if I do sudo ch age for P. Peters, it's actually going to prompt me and take me through this. So changing the aging information for Patrick Peters, minimum password age I'm going to set to 10. And notice it's showing me what that current value is. Maximum is currently almost 10,000, so I'm going to change that to, let's do 42. And then date the last password changed. Password warning, let's set a 5-day warning. Password inactive, I'm going to leave as default. Account expiration date, I'm going to leave as default. And now if I do a sudo passwd -s for P. Peters, we should see his updated password aging information as well. Okay, so clear the screen, and then I'm going to do a sudo cat etc shadow. And if you remember, all of that information is stored in my etc shadow folder, and you'll see here right above my cursor the information for my 2 different users. Okay, so that allows me to set the password information. Those commands will also allow you to do things like lock a user account or unlock. That's the sudo password -l. And a Smith that should lock, and then -u will unlock that account. So that lets us manage password information. Now what about something like password policies, like enforcing complex passwords or something like that? Well, we have a tool called the pluggable authentication module that will actually allow us to do that. It doesn't come installed by default, so we're going to install that right now. And that's going to be apt. We'll talk about more about package management a little bit later on. Apt install, and it's libpam-crack lib. Whoops. And it's going to work much better if we do this. Sudo apt install libpam-crack lib. Okay, now it'll read the information, it'll go download the files, and it will install it for us. And you may get prompted. In this case, I've installed this file before and then uninstalled it. If you haven't, it's going to prompt you that, hey, you need to download this. Are you sure you want to do this? This is how much space it's going to take. Like I said, we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to more of a discussion of package management. Okay, so now that I have this, I'm going to edit, or I'm going to change its settings by modifying its configuration file. So it's sudo nano is going to be my editor. It's a text editor we'll use on Ubuntu. Nano or VI or Pico. There's a variety of them, just depending on what you like. My file is going to be ECT and PAM, pluggable authentication module.d / common - password. And this is my configuration file. And you can see everything that's in blue here. We've got the hash in front of it. It's commented out. So this will give you a bunch of information about it. And I'm not going to go through it all. You can go through and read the documentation on it. And it's actually quite useful. This is the command that I put in a little bit ago, so you didn't have to watch me type it all in. It's password required pam_pwhistory.so. So that's going to be the file where we remember it. And we're going to remember 24 passwords and use authorization OK. So this right here will set it to remember the last 24 passwords. Now, as you look through here, you can see other settings are already predefined. Retry equals 3, minimum length 8. So this will be all of your configurations, and you can look up the configuration files. But this will give you all of your configurations to allow you to set your password policies however you want. When you're done, Control O to write out. That saves the file. Control X to exit. And we now have password policies in place on our system.